in our shul, and we should try to think about what we could do to bring Eli neshama, to raise his neshama. He was a young man in his 60s, but like they said at the funeral yesterday in Deal, that some people don't, they might not live a very long life, but they live a very productive life, and they use their time very well. That could be more productive life than some people that live much longer. So I think he was that type of a person. We are on Vavam and Aleph. We are on 6a. And then, by the way, Nathan sent to the group his speech that he spoke at the Siyam of Brachot, and maybe Nathan will send to the group. You sent the other speech also to the group, and also he sent the second speech that he just spoke right after Purim this year. Has been sent to the group. I was with somebody yesterday when they were watching this past story. This past Siyam that he spoke at the past Siyam, and it was a person that was with me when they just want to welcome back Akiva. It's been a very long time, Akiva. We welcome you back. We haven't seen you.
Thank you, Rabbi. I have to change things around, but I heard the sad news about Daniel. So
right. Okay. So let's be in touch later today, Akiva. Okay, just give me a ring. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. So the last Siyum, this was about Pesach. It was March 8th. I think was the Siyum that we had that Mr. Safdie spoke at. He noted in his speech that one of the things a person is going to be asked after 120, you have set times to learn Torah. And of course, he was known for all his set times that he learned Torah. And so someone noted, they listened to both speeches, and this last one was talking about after 120. And now he's answering the question, and he's able to answer the question in affirmative. Yes, did you have the questions? The person's going to be asked. You have set times till morning. You have set times to learn Torah. He had many set times the day and night. As they spoke at the funeral at night, he would go learn in the kollel at night, and he had different things in the morning. So that was the story. Okay, so we're on Vavam and Aleph. We're on 6a. In the Art Scroll, we are on 6a1. So the Gemara is now, we are up to Eretz Zeis Shemen Udvash. It says that it's the land of Israel is a land of Shemen, olives. It's known for its olives, and it's known for its Dvash, for its honey, which is referring to the dates. And the Gemara says that this pasuk that talks about the fruits of the land of Israel, that enumerates the fruits of the land of Israel, the pomegranates, the dates, the figs. The Torah is talking about, look how special Israel is. It has all the fruits of Israel are needed to teach us certain halachot. The fruits of Israel have a direct connection to halacha. That's how special the fruits of Israel are. They are needed. We need the fruits of Israel. We need to know about the pomegranate. We need to know about the olive. The olive of the fruit has ramifications for halacha. And what's the ramification in halacha that the olives have? And the way Rashi explains that we're talking about, look, the pasuk is talking about the praise, the greatness of the land of Israel. That even Torah halacha needs to estimate, needs to measure. The measurements of the Torah have to go according to the fruits of Israel. And what's the story about the olives? The story about the olives is Eretz, the land of Israel, is a land shekol shu'ureha kezeitim. All of its shu'urim, the measurements of the Torah, it's a land that all are go according to the aleph, the size of the aleph. And that's the uniqueness of the the olives of the land of Israel, is that's what we use for shurim. When we need it, we have a size of something, we use the olives. The Gemara has a question on this statement because you're making a across the board statement that it landed all of the measurements of the size of an olive, but we know that's not true. We know Yom Kippur, we talk about a date, a size. You have the size that a person will incur the punishment for violating Yom Kippur. He would have to be if he ate the size of a date. Not one. Thank you very much. Not welcome back. Not the size of an olive. Also, we find by other things we found yesterday. We learned about a mate, a size, a bone of a person who passed away. It's the size of a barley that would go ahead and if someone comes in contact with it, will become contaminated. So what do we mean? What do you mean to say that it's all of the sizes of the size of an olive? Not everything goes with the olive. So the Gemara says, that's someone's question. We said there are things that we use other measurements. We're going to use a pomegranate. We're going to use a date. We're going to use a fig. For certain things, we're going to use wheat. Not everything is not everything. It's not 100%. Everything is in size of an olive. So the Gemara says, "Ela ema sharov shu'urel kezeitim." It's the land that most of the sizes, most of the measurements of the Torah. When we need a measurement, it goes according to the mass majority go according to the olive. For example, Rashi gives a whole listing. Rashi says, let's say nevela, how much a person eats of a dead animal, or not kosher fat, or blood, or gid hanosher. There are most cases of the Torah that says don't eat something. Most of them have to do with our size of the kazayit. So that's what the Gemara says. That's the idea of the olive. The olive, look how special the olive is. Hashem made such great olives in the land of Israel, and that olive is what we use for most of the measurements of the Torah. So the Gemara says dvash. Now, how is the dates? How do we use dates? The dates of Israel are used for a shiur, an amount of halachic amount. In what case? Kikotevet hagasa b'yom kippurim. A big date on the size of a big date on Yom Kippur. What does that mean? On Yom Kippur, the Torah says, if a person violates Yom Kippur, if he does it intentionally, he gets a punishment number one called kareh, and unintentionally, if he didn't know today was Yom Kippur, he forgot it was Yom Kippur, and he eat. How much does he have to eat in order to be considered that he violated Yom Kippur? That he would be subject to bring a korban chatat, a sin offering. So it's not the size of an olive. If he ate the size of an olive, he will not have to bring a korban chatat. He has to eat a larger size than an olive. What's the largest size of an olive that he has to eat? The large date. Now, why is that? Why is this different than the general rule, right, Morris? The general rule is eating is a kazayit, size of an olive. But when it comes to Yom Kippur, meaning now let's be clear. It doesn't mean you can eat less than the size of an olive of not kosher food. It just means the punishment will not be incurred from the court. The court does not punish less than the size of an olive, or certain other halachot, meaning the size of an olive. But here, when it comes to Yom Kippur, the size is larger than an olive. Why is that? Because the Torah says that a person who did not afflict himself on Yom Kippur is a day that a person is supposed to afflict themselves. How does a person afflict themselves? By not eating, if you don't eat, you don't drink. So that's the affliction. No physical, no one's getting hit. on Yom Kippur, but you're afflicting yourself. It's called an inui. If you eat a olive, if you only ate the size of an olive, you still afflicted. You still feel, you don't feel you still feel I feel not comfortable. I feel distressed. I only had an olive and I'm fasting. But if I have the size of a date, once I eat more than the olive, I ate the large date, no longer do I feel distressed. I feel much more at ease. And that's the point that I reached, that I'm no longer afflicted. So that's why, so sometimes you can, technically the person ate an olive, he still feels he feels weak that he's fasting, that didn't eat anything else. But once you ate the size of a large date, then you're no longer in the level of being afflicted, and therefore he's subject to this punishment. That's the reason for Yom Kippur. Now, the Gemara continues. So the Gemara says, Alma, so we see the right in we see that these measurements are in the Torah, because the Torah wrote the pasuk of Chita, Seorah, Gefen, Rimon. The Torah listed the 7 species, and the Gemara's understanding that Moshe Rabbeinu was talking about, look how special the land of Israel is, that the species, the land, the fruits, the great fruits of the land, the 7 great products of the land of Israel are used to tell us the sizes for different halachic Torah law. So we see it, and that's what the pasuk is coming to teach us. So we see that shiurim, the measurements, are written in the Torah itself. So if they're written in the Torah itself, so how could you say it's halacha la Moshe Sinai? I don't know if I said that morning to Dr. Navid. So that morning, Dr. Navid. So that's the Gemara's question. The Gemara said earlier that shiurim, there was a statement that says that sizes of the measurements of the Torah are halacha Moshe Sinai. Hashem told Moshe at Sinai, which indicates that it wasn't written in the Torah itself. Remember, like the Gemara said, it was looking for a source before of a mechitza. You know, by Sukkah, we're learning Masechah Sukkah, and we said a Sukkah has to be at least 10 tefachim high. The wall has to be 10 tefachim high, and then on top of that, then you have to put the schach on top of the 10 tefachim. And the Gemara was looking for a source. Where is that source? Where is that source in the Torah that it has to be a minimum height of 10 tvachim? And the Gemara said, according to one rabbi, you do not have a biblical source in the Chumash itself. Rather, it's halacha la Moshe Sinai. This is what Hashem told Moshe to tell the Jewish community. So being that, and the Gemara says, not only was that a halacha la Moshe Sinai, also shiurim, measurements, in general, measurements and sizes of foods that we need to know, halachot of foods, or these type of things. At what point it applies the violation or similar type of things. It's also halacha al Moshe Sinai. So the Gemara is questioning, how do you say it's halacha al Moshe Sinai? The shiurim, the sizes we see of the pasuk, the fruits of Israel are teaching us. This pasuk are teaching us the sizes for different things. So how could you say it's halacha Moshe when we see it's scripturally based? It's in the pasuk itself. That's the Gemara's questions. So the Gemara shoots back. I want to tell you, it's not clearly written in the pasuk, because you would not, if you read the pasuk says it's the land of wheat, barley. It's a land of grapes and olives and so on and so forth. Does that tell you clearly that this item is used for a size? How it says it's land of barley. Does it say it's barley for the purpose of a piece of a bone of a dead person? Or if I tell you it's the size of it, the pasuk says it's a land of an olive. Does it say clearly that that's an olive for eating blood or eating not kosher food? It's not there. The pasuk is not. It's not clear that the pasuk is telling us that. The Gemara says, "V'tizbara." Do you think that it's really from the Torah? This law of the size of an olive for these things and the size of a pomegranate for other things. Shi'urim miksivi. Did the pasuk tell us a clear that this size is for this item? That the wheat is used over here, the pomegranate is used over here, the date is used for Yom Kippur. Where does it say in the pasuk that the pasuk says about the date? Where does it say about the date and Yom Kippur that that's the size that you need to eat to violate Yom Kippur to the level of incurred punishment? We don't see it in the verse itself. We see that Moshe Rabbeinu talks about the dates, but where does it say anything about the date? Where's the connect the dots that the date is for Yom Kippur? So that's why the Gemara says, Ela hilchata ninu. These mahalacha la Moshe Sinai. This idea that you have to go ahead and eat a large date on Yom Kippur in order to violate Yom Kippur to incur karet or chatat, and similarly the other items, these are halacha la Moshe Sinai. It's in Sinai itself. Ukra, but the pasuk asmachta ba'almahu. The pasuk is that we see that it's alluded to in the pasuk. A lot of times, the rabbis would find sukkim in the Torah that you see, that lend itself to either enactments that the rabbis like to make. When the rabbis find a need to make an enactment, they feel there's a certain need, they sometimes like to look in the Torah to see if the Torah itself hinted to this concept. Because everything is in the Torah. If everything is in the Torah, we're all in the Torah. We're all alluded to in the Torah. Everybody's name is found in the Torah. I think the Vilna Gaon was able to find everybody's name in the Torah. Everybody is in the Torah. So even the enactments that future generations, when they needed to make certain enactments, like the Gemara says, Esther min Torah minaya. Esther is alluded to in Torah. Mordechai is alluded to in Torah. Haman is a pasuk Hamina 8. Haman, you could see Haman. There's a Haman in the Torah. There's a meaning. It's like Hashem says. The pasuk says Hamina 8 from the tree that I told you not to eat from, the tree of knowledge. Did you go ahead and eat from that tree? Right. That's what Hashem says to Adam and Chava. And how does that allude to Haman? The same letters. Hey, Ariel, this is for you. Hey, Mem Nun. Hey, Mem Nun is Hamin is Haman. What was the story with Haman? Why did we have a Haman? How did we get a Haman? We got a Haman because we ate from the feast of Achashverosh. When he made a feast, he was celebrating the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash, that the Beit HaMikdash wasn't rebuilt. And he and the Jewish members of the Jewish community or the Jewish community ate from such a feast. And because they were nene, they had benefit from the Sudan Achashverosh. So there was a gezerah against them. There was a decree against them that they're going to be destroyed. So therefore, you understand, it's alluded to in the Hamin Ha'etz. The tree that I told you, Adam and Chava, don't eat from that tree. Did you eat from that tree? That's the story of Haman. The Jewish community ate also from somewhere they were not supposed to eat from. That's and so on and so on. So everything but the rabbis would be able to find something which they could hang their hat on. They would like to go ahead and show that, and that also gave them encouragement to make certain enactments when they saw it alluded to in the Torah, and also gave extra strength to an enactment that they made when you could see the Torah itself, like Hashem is alluding to it in the Torah. That's one way to understand it, and that's over here also. It gives strength.
Rabbi, where's the proof that Where's the proof that the sizes are relevant to the laws?
Because Moshe Rabbeinu is when he's enumerating and he's talking about the fruits of Israel. So the fact that he goes ahead and he enumerates all these fruits, he's talking about, good morning, Mark. He's talking about he's praising the land of Israel. Look how special the land of Israel is. He's talking about how it's a land of dates and pomegranates. So now you could say he's talking about the land of Israel. He's just mentioning how special the land of Israel is, that God is going to give us this type of land of Israel. But also, you could also see in it that he's also meant. It also alludes to the fact that he's praising the land of Israel. That these fruits, because there is this halacha Moshe Sinai. There is the halacha Moshe Sinai that all these fruits have special significance. That's the halacha Moshe Sinai, the oral Torah, the oral statement of Hashem to Moshe about, that's the fact on the ground from the halacha Moshe Sinai. And now you could also see this in the verse that Moshe Rabbeinu is also, it's also discussed. You can read it in the pasuk that he's talking about how special Israel is to the effect that even the fruits of Israel are used for the measurements. Meaning to say, you could read the pasuk. There's a way you could fit the pasuk. You could read the pasuk as saying that Moshe is talking about how special the land of Israel is, that these fruits are used for sizes of Torah. So since you could read it that way, or that he's talking about the fruits and the sizes, so he's already telling us that this fruit has to do with a size. This fruit has to do with a size. So maybe that's the asmachta, that it's showing that the halacha Moshe Sinai about the sizes of this fruit is alluded to, it's hinted to by the fact that Moshe Rabbeinu is talking about praising the fruits of the land of Israel in that aspect, that you could explain that he's also alluding to the fact that it's used for sizes. Now, the Gemara continues. Let me see one of the commentaries. Okay. The Gemara says, Chatzitzin. Another thing that we said that was halacha Moshe Sinai was chatzitzin. Chatzitzin is if there's something on the body, a foreign substance on the body that doesn't belong on the body, that if a person goes to the mikveh with the dirt on his body, or something like that, that would be considered a chatzitza. That would be considered a separation that would invalidate the mikveh, the dipping of the mikveh. Even though they dipped in the mikveh, the whole body went into the mikveh, but there was dirt on the person's body. That's one type of chatzitza. That would invalidate the going to the mikveh. So the Gemara says, you're telling me that this concept is halacha Moshe Sinai, that from the Chumash itself we will not be able to learn this law, that if a person goes to the mikveh and he has something else, a foreign substance on his body, it will invalidate it. What do you mean? The right inenu. We have a pasuk in the Torah. It's not something that just it's not just something that was halacha Moshe Sinai. And again, we said the learning today is dedicated to Mr. Safdie. We have a pasuk in the Torah that teaches this, that you can't have something else on your body when you go into the mikveh. The right inenu, biksiv, it says by the person who was tamei, the mitzorah, when it says the leper v'rachatz es b'sara b'mayim, it says that he washes his basar b'mayim. And we say, and the drash is, when it says bisoro b'mayim, you can see v'rachas b'mayim. What is he? Of course, he's washing it. Of course, he's washing his body. What's emphasizing bisoro? You're washing his basar. So shelo yeh davar chotzetz beino lebein hamayim. There shouldn't be anything separating between him and the water. His body has to be direct contact with the water, nothing else. And therefore, we see from there, good morning, Jake, we see from there that if there's a chatzitza, there's something else on the body that doesn't belong, then that would be considered a chatzitza. That would be considered a interruption. because the water is going not directly on the body, it's going on that thing. It's interrupting between the body and the water. There's some other substance. So that's the Gemara's question. So how could you tell me that chatzitza is only from it's not written in the Torah? We have a pasuk in the Torah that tells us that it has to be, you can't have anything else on your body to separate between the water. And that's one of the things that the women, they go to the mikveh, that's something that they learn about, how to have, not to have other things on their body when they go to the mikveh. So the Gemara says, the Gemara answers, you're right. You're right that for the body itself, the basar, the body, the flesh, there shouldn't be anything on the body, is learned out from the pasuk. But what about the hair? If the hair has a knot in the hair, and now as a result of the knot in the hair, so maybe the water can't go, because the water has to also cover every part of the person's body, right? The person's hair, not one hair is allowed to be above the water. Okay, every part of the body is important to be submerged in the mix. Maybe that's why some women might not have such long hair. They want to be careful not to should have any issue. But when they go to the mikveh, but they don't. There's no problem having longer hair as long as they make sure someone makes sure that there's someone there that makes sure that everything goes that everything is totally in the mikveh. So, but when the halacha l'Moshe Sinai is about the hair, that if the hair is knotted, and now the water can't go into that hair because of the knot, so that's where the halacha Sinai goes. That's what the Gemara wants to say. That it's teaching us that not only having something on your body would invalidate would be a problem, which is from the Chumash itself, from the pasuk itself, but you can't have anything disrupting the hair. That the hair, there can't be anything in the hair that will be considered that will also separate, that will invalidate the dipping. If something is separating the water from going to in every part of the hair. For the hair. The Rabba Bachana, the Omer Rabba Bachana, and therefore the women, that's part of their process, they comb their hair. They make sure there's no knots. The Omer Rabba Bachana, Nima Achat, if there is one hair and the hair has a knot, and also we're going to see, and we'll see more. I'm not getting to the halacha, but here the commentary puts in, and he is makpid on it. That not only it has the knot, but they don't want it to be knotted. Sometimes you have okay, it doesn't make a difference, doesn't bother me. But then there's something that says when it bothers me. When a person says, I don't want it. I have this thing, I don't want it to be that way. So they're makpid. They're very particular about it, that they don't want it, because we're gonna see that plays a role in chatzitza, in certain aspects of chatzitza. When a person has something on their body, if they don't mind that it's there, so it makes it much less of an issue. It doesn't mean that it's not an issue, but we're gonna see more about something that you're makpid, something that you don't want it creates much more of a separation, because you don't want it to be there. So we'll see more about that. Makbid is I'm particular about it. I don't want this to be there. Right, very good. Right, I'm particular about it. If let's say that I have something, let's say if I have a little ink on my hand, let's say, but it doesn't bother me. So that's called I am not makbid. I'm not particular about it. That will be less of an issue, even though we will get rid of it. We're not going to keep ink on my body because it's not. If there's something else on my body that's not part of my body, let's say, but that's something. That's something that I'm not particular about, and that makes it much better. At the end of the day, if something might have happened, it might make it much better than if something was on my body that I really did not want on my body. And that will definitely serve as a much bigger interruption than something that's on my body that doesn't belong there, but I don't care about. So we're gonna have to see more how that plays a role in the halacha. We're gonna see the Gemara is gonna talk about if you really don't want it there, I don't want the mark there. You say the word mark. We want mark there. Got it? We want you here, mark. But the difference between something that you have on your body, right, Yehuda? That you have on your body, and something that you don't you don't care about, doesn't mean anything to you. It's just like, doesn't mean anything, or something that I really don't want it to be there. Okay, so we're going to see more about that. We welcome Mr. Silva. Good morning, Michael. So the Gemara says the following. We are on Vav and Aleph. We are on 6a in the Gemara, getting towards the bottom of the page. 682, the bottom of the page. Rabbi Yitzchak says the following. Nima achat, if there's one hair that's tied, when a person goes to the mikveh, if one hair is tied, then that will be chotzetzes. That will not be a good dipping in the mikveh. Well, that would be considered a chatzitza. Now again, meaning it was the way the commentary here says, it was tied. Because it was tied, the water couldn't get in, and you did not want it to be tied. And you did not want, you were makpid, you were particular about it. You didn't want it to be that way. So that would be a chatzitza. That's called a separation. And the dipping doesn't help. And
what does tied mean? Knotted?
So knotted. So I just nodded. What did you say, Jaime? We said
does tied mean knotted?
Tying means knotted.
Naturally knotted, or a person knotted it themselves?
Whether you knotted it or knotted, it came by itself. Either way, as long as right. But if you're not particular about it, we're going to see. Right. We're going to see. More.
Only for men. Only for men, not particular. Only for a man, not particular. Women, it's very strict.
We're going to see. We're going to see what the Gemara is going to say, and then we have to see what the halacha, how it says in the halacha. Here, the way the commentary here says, at this point, this opinion. In this opinion, some opinions understand this Gemara. We'll have to see more opinion. There's one opinion that says that the rabbi, that there's a gezerah. We're going to see the rabbi said that if someone has a chatzitza, an interruption on a minority of the hair, because it's not on the whole majority of the hair, minority hair. If he's particular about it, that's where the rabbis made the problem, say that it's no good. But if you were not particular, it doesn't bother you, it wouldn't be a problem. That's one opinion. Someone would say a lot of would be okay. But again, as long as it's not, but if they accept the hair with a lot of knots and they're not particular about it, and it's not the majority of the hair is knotted up. To see more about, it's not the majority of the hair. It's only each hair. Let's say it's a small part of each hair. It's not a majority of each hair is knotted up. There is opinion that said that's fine. Okay, because it's a minority of the hair, and they're not particular about it. Okay, that's this opinion for now. Now, shlosh, if there are three hairs that are tied together, ein chotzesot. Three hairs, because the hairs have a thicker tendency, and it's not considered very tight, so tight when you have three together. When you have one hair, you have a knot in one hair, that's generally more tight than three hairs. Because three hairs, when you pull three things together, three hairs together, we got to get a little string, right? You get a string and you pull three strings together, three hairs together. That's not so tight. Really, you can ask me, sometimes you can make it very tight, but it's not so tight, and therefore the water would go through. That's what this opinion says, and therefore, since the water will go through, there's no problem here of chatzitza. Now, the Gemara says, what about shtayim? If two hairs are tied together, so two hairs, it's not clear if two hairs is enough for the water to go through or not enough for the water. Again, one hair that's tied, you have a knot on one hair that has a little knot in it, the water doesn't go through. Three hairs, the Gemara is saying, it goes through. Because when you put a few things together, it doesn't get as tight. And two hairs, the Gemara says, he says, Eini yodea, I don't know. I don't know. The rabbi says he doesn't know if two hairs is already considered too tight and the water won't go through. The knot is too tight, or two hairs, it is the water will go through. So he's not sure about that. So the Gemara says that is what the halacha l'Moshe Sinai is coming to teach us. The halacha l'Moshe Sinai is coming to teach us that the hair is also the laws of chatzitza, of having some separation between the water and the hair, that even though the whole body is submerged in water and the hair is under the water completely, but if there's a knot in the hair, there's something within the hair itself that in itself will invalidate the dipping in the mikveh. So the Gemara
Rabbi,
says,
are we talking about braiding, like braid, where people do it intentionally, or we're talking about like, organically two hairs just joined together, or three hairs?
It seems like both cases. It doesn't seem like they make a difference, at least over here. It depends. I would think if you really made it so tight, I see the question would be if you made it so tight. It's hard to imagine to say if you made the hairs so tight that the water will go through. That sounds
like a braid where people actually do that.
They make that braid and they make it very tight, right?
Yeah.
It's a tight braid. Okay, the question.
The problem is the problem is the water's not getting to that hair. They're not really getting a full dip. If it's not,
if it's braided, I understand.
Yeah,
if it's braided, I understand.
Yeah, it's not natural. It's not. In other words, it would be you go in the mikveh with your hair in a ponytail.
Right.
Same thing. Tied together.
So now maybe we'll have to look up more in the halacha to see, but meanwhile, this is how the Gemara just presents itself. The hair is knotted. We don't see, it's knotted, it's tied, which sounds like however it happened, whether you did it, whether it happened by itself. So the Gemara says, what do you mean? You're telling me the hair is also alluded to in the pasuk. Not just alluded to, it's written in the pasuk. We have a drasha that the hair also can't have anything separating. Sarah namida right then. Sarah is also, the hair is also biblical, that you can't have anything else. Ksiv, v'rochas es b'saro b'mayim. That you have to wash. Now it could have said v'rochas b'saro. Et b'saro, et is the thing that's secondary to the flesh. Not only the flesh has to be completely submerged without anything separating the flesh and the water. V'rachas et b'saro, the tafel b'saro, the thing that's secondary to the flesh, which is the hair, which is not. There's the body and then there's the hair. That even that can't have any chatzitza, can't have any interruption. V'rachas b'saro, es tafel b'saro, ma'niyu saro. That's the hair. So we see from this pasuk also that the hair has to be submerged without any separation in the hair itself. So what are you telling me that it's the halacha l'Moshe Sinai, that it's not written in the Torah itself? It's written in the Torah itself. That's the Gemara's question. So the Gemara says, and we'll see tomorrow the answer to the question. On 7:25, maybe we'll say a Kaddish today. Someone wants to say a Kaddish today, and have in mind we have a minyan. Have in mind Mr. Safdie's neshama. Amen. Amen.
Amen. תטעב את הלב ואת הלעל שמד ושמברך לעילה מכל ברכתה אשר כלת שבעתה ונחמתה ואמירה בעלמה ואמרו אמן על ישראל ועל רבנן ועל תלמידהון ועל כל תלמידהון העסקים והייתה קדישתה דיבר התרה בדין דין לכל אתר ואתר והעלנו חון סדה ורחמה מין קודם מראה שמיה ורעב אמרו אמן יש לנו ארבע מין שמיה חי וסובה ושועה ונחמה ושזבה ופואה וגבורה סליחה וכפרה כל עמו ישראל ואמרו אמן עושה שלום וברחמה ועשה כל עמו ישראל ואמרו אמן
חזק וברוך. Thank you.
Great day, H.
Have a great day. H. How are you, H?
Baruch Hashem.
We miss you.
Miss you more, but look, I'm here with you.
I love
Yes, I
that. You made my day. You made me smile to see you.
Love to see you guys, all of you. Thank you.
Love you, H. Bless you.
All right.
Love you.
I'm going on the road today. I'll be back Friday. Thursday
Call me
night.
2 seconds before you go up to pray.
Okay, you got
Shalom,
it.
Mom.
You got it. Thank you. Thank you, Michael.
Chaim, you okay, Chaim?
Just the weeks up. Oh my God.